Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome to the circus. I played a new intro for you, and this is the song that I've attached to it because anybody who's been following my channel for a while knows that they copyright struck me on the most insane thing on my intro. So I went looking through free beats, and most of it was garbage, but this beat by Otis McDonald, which is called Not For Nothing, is actually pretty good. I like it. It's pretty chill. Let me know what you guys think about it. Probably just be the intro song, and then maybe I will play over it a little bit like we're doing now. Depends. Might throw it in the live stream, whatever. So today we're going to talk about Judge Joe Brown, because this man is dropping nuclear ordinance, and it's kind of hilarious. Now, I had to go through this to bleep some things out. That's how hot Judge Joe Brown is recently. And he's just talking cold shit. But I want to play it because it's important for people to hear what he has to say, for sure. Alright, let's get into it. Now, Judge Joe Brown has been off the meat rack now for a while, and the people who are opposing him say that he's like senile or he's losing it. In reality, he is as sharp as a tack. He's as smart and as sharp as he's always been. And the insanity is that the person that he's talking about, President Biden, is literally in the early stages of dementia, and yet they're still saying this about Judge Joe Brown, who is clearly cognitively there. It's amazing that they'll look at somebody as articulate and as sharp as Judge Joe Brown and say that he is showing symptoms of problems of dementia. And yet they defend President Biden, who, I'm sorry, but it's just at this point obvious that he's got problems. Imagine the amount of denial it takes to basically take the 180-degree position from reality. Pretty crazy. But, you know, they want people to feel that way. So this is Judge Joe Brown on Kwame Brown's podcast. And again, I'll put a link to it in the description. And I've added graphics throughout to kind of put some proofs up as a visualization to back up what Judge Joe Brown is saying throughout the process. And I'll stop and do some narrating in between as well. All right.
Now, I don't particularly like Trump, but I'm not against him. I did not vote for that damn fool that they had running against him, that racist dog, what I heard the first time in 1972 when I was doing an intern thing at a D.C. think tank, when he was out there with James O. Eastland, John B. Stennis. Faubus came in from Arkansas. That's the fool who said they'd never integrate the Little Rock High School. They had Wallace there, who was wheeled in, and they had Byrd, former Grand Dragon of the Klan, and they were talking about this young man who had a stupid-looking ducktail like he was back in the 1950s, was the last true yellow dog Dixiecrat. And they were talking about Joe Biden, who got up there, and when the speech he gave, I mean, I was really offended. I heard it right outside the state capitol building in Dover, which was a rundown, ransackled old house, 250 years old. And he said, Negro children are like roaches.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but the second I heard Judge Joe Brown say that he heard Joe Biden describe black children as roaches, I could only think of one circumstance and one circumstance only. And that was when Joe Biden said this.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Said Negro children are like roaches. If they're allowed to integrate the schools, they will infest them and they will never be gotten out. Negro.
Who said that? Joe Biden said that?
Yeah, I heard it. Saw it.
He heard it. He saw it. And see, this starts to get involved in all of the parties switched, where the Democrat Party hates when people look into the Democrat Party and see that early on in segregation, the Democrat Party was front and center. And the parties never swapped. And the proof of that is that all you have, Joe Biden is the bridge that connects those old Dixie Democrats to the new Democrat Party. Joe Biden is literally that bridge because he worked with those Democrats when he was in that Democrat Party, which is the same Democrat Party he's in now. So people don't like looking at this. They don't like talking about Joe Biden's record on the crime bills. They like talking about the crime bill. But Judge Joe Brown was in federal court at the time, so he knows it's not about the crime bill. It's about the crime bills.
He said Negroes were animals and they turned the streets into jungles. And he and Senator Eastland had a plan where they could put all of these Negro animals in zoos. Now, we talk about the 94 crime bill. That wasn't shit. The 91 was bad. The
91
87 was really bad. The 81 was the one where one rock got you 5 years, which due to some other stuff Biden and Spence and Eastland did. It wasn't 5 years with parole. They abolished federal parole. So you get 5 years, you get 60 months, and you get released with all good and honor time at 56 months from federal custody. And then that was the 81 one, then there was the 79 and the 77. So let's give blame where blame is due. That bastard has been a racist dog, and he used to talk about he understood the Negro because he was raised in Delaware.
Can somebody please explain to me how people voted out Donald Trump because they thought he was racist and voted in Joe Biden because they thought he was better? This man has been an avowed racist for decades. The thing he says about the crime bill is that he made a mistake. He didn't make a mistake. If you go back and listen to what he was saying, those are his words, not Judge Joe Brown's. His current vice president called him a racist in the debates. And yet, it's funny because I had to hear this Judge Joe Brown interview to get angry about this again. How stupid are people?
And he said Delaware was a proud slave-owning state that basically copped out by not going with the South during the rebellion as it should have, because they were too close to D.C. to not be intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
So I listened to this racist dog. I kept up with him because I was practicing criminal law, and federal criminal trials became almost a lynch thing because of what is allowed. By the way, if you ever get interrogated by the feds, never say, I don't know what happened. I don't know anything about it, because you will get convicted on one count of an indictment making a knowingly false statement to a federal investigator. You know why? Because they tell you what you're there for. So you know what you're there for. So when you say, I don't know nothing about it, you did because they told you.
That's what General Flynn did, exactly summed up in very simple words for everybody to understand. That's exactly what happened to General Flynn. And somehow, that isn't entrapment. Hi, we're here about a bank robbery yesterday. I don't know anything about a bank robbery yesterday. Well, yes, you do. We just said we were here about one. This is actual law, you guys. When they talk about the federal system and how jacked up it is jacked up. And it was done by Joe Biden.
With the feds, you say, I have nothing to say, or I refuse to make a statement. I want a lawyer. But if you're talking with the states, you say, I don't know what the f- you talking about. You know. But with the feds, Watch what you say. Because in the federal system, thanks to Biden, Stennis, Eastland, and some other of these yellow dog Dixiecrat races, what happens is they've set it up so you get tried by ambush if it is a criminal case. And if you're absolutely innocent, you don't know shit about what happened. Eastland and Stennis and Biden set something else up where they deliberately set the rules so that a prosecutor could knowingly not knowing, but know that he had no case that could get an conviction, but deliberately go after you for the purpose of bankrupting you so your ability to operate is destroyed.
Which we've seen the federal government now start to use that system and weaponize it against political adversaries. Guys, it being used against political adversaries is a recent development, but it's been used against the American citizenry for decades since Biden passed this stuff. Interesting. Unlawful seizure of goods, Fed system. 50-to-1 crack law, Fed system. Mandatory minimums, Fed system. Removal of parole, Fed system. You see, this wasn't done in the state systems because it was the national mandate to rid the country of crime when Biden was in the Senate. So all the changes that were made to the federal system because they don't have the right to make these changes to the state systems.
Now, that's one of the bad things that bastard did. And then you got Queen La Imhoff in there. You know who Imhoff is?
No.
Yes, you do.
Who?
Mrs. Imhoff, Vice President of the United States, who goes by her maiden name,
Miss Kamala?
Kamala Harris. She's got 2 Jewish children she adopted. She's married a Jewish husband. He's got a interesting.
I'm scared to talk about Kamala Harris. I'll let you have that one.
No, she's a witch, and she is a corrupt witch. She's been corrupt her whole life, and she f***ed her way to the top.
He ain't never lied.
Oh, Lord.
They used to detail this witch in the LA Times with her sexual escapades. She's damn near everybody trying to get her. She used to be a frat hoe when she was at Howard.
He called her a frat
And she ain't black. You know
I ain't got nothing to do with this, Miss Harris.
No, I mean, well, don't. But she's
I don't know. I'm just listening.
Well, here's the thing. I actually met her father in Jamaica. I was the guest, sat at the Governor General's table, and he was a professor.
Okay.
And he represents as a Hindu Brahmin. He admittedly has some Irish in him. All right. The person that Kamala Harris is saying is her black great-grandmother is, in fact, according to Daddy, in an article he wrote, which has now been cleaned up on the online edition of that magazine, was a Hindu house servant, not a black woman. So her mother is listed on her birth certificate as Caucasian, even though she's dark. But she's a Hindu Brahmin Tamil caste. Now, interestingly, do you know what the anthropological name is for what Kamala Harris and her parents are?
Time out. Do you? Because I didn't. This is getting ready to be crazy.
No, sir.
Indo hyphen Aryan. See, they are the original Aryans, but Adolf Hitler and his boys told a big lie.
Okay, let's time out right there. So Kamala Harris is Indian, not African American. Okay, let's put that aside. The Aryans were Indian. So I had never heard that. See, what I had heard, obviously, which I'm pretty sure everybody's heard, is that the swastika was co-opted and it was a Hindu symbol. But if the original Aryans also came from India and Hitler stole the swastika from Hindus in India, assuming, there's something else to that, right?
The blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryans from the far north did not exist, never existed. They were the dark to swarthy to paper bag brown, dark-eyed, dark, coarse-haired Indo-Aryans from the India. from India.
Mm-hmm.
Those actually settled Germany, and some other people came in from the steppes that lightened everything up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that lie is being told. So you get the Aryan Brotherhood, the Aryan Nation, what's going on?
So you have the ABs, you have the Aryan Brotherhood running around as white supremacists, and they're named after brown people from India. This is awesome. It's hilarious. Like, how did I not know this?
The Aryans, they claim to be one with, look like Queen Harris. I guess what she did is, LA Times ranked her out. I was out in LA, when she was really
I can see this article.
Before that, she got out and they ran a thing that when she went to law school, Willie Brown, that was his mistress. They used to have guards.
I heard about that, though.
Where they had one.
Judge Joe Brown gave that a long second to think about. He's like, am I going to bring up old Willie Brown? Yes, you are, Judge. Yes, you are.
They ran this thing where he got her a job with a medical supply company that did business with the city of San Francisco. He got her a gig for 15 hours a week for $72,000 a year. And you have to understand that was 35 years ago.
Mm.
And then when they carried a thing where she moved up to 20 hours a week, she getting paid $120,000 for a part-time gig, and he bought her a 750i BMW.
Mm-hmm.
She was earning that. So then she had this thing where she was trying to get on with this big firm that wouldn't hire, so she started screwing one of your buddies, an NBA player who was their biggest client. So she got hired. So then they ran a scandal sheet on her where she was trying to get on with the DA's office, so she started screwing the deputy chief DA to get on. So
that's what the ladies call all the tea. Judge Joe Brown got on the show and spilled all the tea. A lot of stuff in there that is like really solid information that every American should know about the policy issues and a lot of the politicking that the president and the vice president have done. And laced all throughout that is some really good personal dirt. Like, phew. And Judge Joe Brown's been doing this all across the country. It's just, his voice is heavily censored. He's just censored as Mike Lindell or President Trump or anybody who speaks about Mike Lindell or President Trump. But I thought I would bring that to you guys because I thought it was a very interesting little interview. And there'll be a link in the description where you guys can go watch this interview yourselves. Now, second thing I wanted to go over with y'all. Quick talk about Elon Musk. Most of the people who are going to make it onto the national stage and be in a position to garner the attention of large numbers of people are not going to be in that position unless they're in the system. So it's dangerous to be people worshiping anyone that you see on the stage like Elon Musk. His girlfriend, fiance, is a little eccentric. And she was on TicTok the other day, and she had some things to say about communism and AI. And I want to play it for you guys because I think it's important. Let's listen to it first.
I have a proposition for the communists. So typically, most of the communists I know are not big fans of AI. But if you think about it, AI is actually the fastest path to communism. So if implemented correctly, AI could actually theoretically solve for abundance. Like, we could totally get to a situation where nobody has to work, everybody is provided for with a comfortable state of being, comfortable living. AI could automate all the farming, weed out systematic corruption, thereby bringing us to as close as possible to genuine equality. So basically, everything that everybody loves about communism, but without the collective farm. Because let's be real, enforced farming is really not a vibe.
So this is the person that Elon Musk spends all his time with. Just so you guys know, the collective farm, sure, it's one of the things that sucks about communism, but it's definitely not the thing that sucks about communism. I'm pretty sure if you talk to the people who were in the gulags, they would tell you there's some other things. Some other things. Yeah, don't get me wrong, forced labor, them choosing your job, it's horrible. But my point is it gets way worse. Way, way worse. And it doesn't get way worse because of the collective farm. It gets way worse because of human nature. That's why it falls apart every single time. That's why communism and technocracy, the AI singularity, and transhumanism all have the same goal. Ye shall be as gods. We do not need religion. We do not need God. We have communism and AI. That's what this person just argued in favor of. Communism that is supplanted by AI, so that we can put robots on the collective farm instead of people this time. What a brilliant idea. It's just something to think about, guys. Like, he made a tweet the other day about Bitcoin, and I got on the comment section to see what people were saying. I go there to see how people are acting. And the number of people who were underneath his tweet saying that they had lost everything that they had in the last Bitcoin drop, the last Dogecoin drop. They lost their house, their cars, their families. You guys, this is a bad sign for our society, that there are so many people out there who made that mistake. It means that there is a sickness in our society, that people are worshiping this man to the point where it doesn't strike them as odd for them to sell everything they own and buy a meme coin because Elon Musk said. My point is like, don't worship people, and be careful who you follow, and be critical thinkers, and always do your own research, especially before you take advice from somebody, and especially before you sell everything you own and buy a meme coin because the guy who dates this woman said so. All right, y'all, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Catch y'all next time. Peace.
And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap.